Ghostbusters is a franchise that has stood the test of time. It has spawned a legacy that has spanned multiple movies, several cartoons, board games, books, comics, and yes, even video games. The video game versions of Ghostbusters have all tried to capture what it would be like to capture ghosts, all to varying degrees of success. For the first time ever, Ghostbusters, the video game, aims to not only capture the feel of being a Ghostbuster, but actually put you beside the characters from the first two movies that launched a legacy. Does it succeed in making you actually feel like a Ghostbuster? Or is it held back by poor design choices that frustrate more than invigorate? Hello fellow geeks, GamerDad79 here. Today, we are going to be talking about Ghostbusters the video game, the remastered version for the Nintendo Switch. First, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at, we're going to compare both the PS3 version and the Switch remastered version, and we're going to see how the two stack up to each other. After that, we're going to talk about what the game itself does right and where it misses the mark. So, let's go ahead and get into it, because sometimes stuff happens, and who are you going to call? So the biggest difference between the PS3 version and the remastered on the Switch that I noticed was the game looked brighter and cleaner on the remastered version. I did have some audio issues with the PS3 version for some reason, but I think that had more to do with my setup for my capture card than the actual game itself. On the Switch version, I did notice that there were some instances where the voices and the lips didn't match up. It felt as though it were just out of sync. I know that the developers have been releasing patches, so hopefully this is something that's fixed in the near future. The game did look and play great in handheld mode on the Switch, and after a while that actually became my preferred method of playing. Yeah, so I really liked playing in handheld mode on the Switch. I had a lot of fun with it that way. For some reason it felt better. The game looked great in handheld mode. I didn't have any issues with it graphically playing in handheld, and it just played really well. As for the comparison between the Switch and the PS3 version, to be honest with you guys, if you had the PS3 or Xbox 360 versions of the game, there's not that much of a reason to go ahead and upgrade unless you really want that more cleaner look in your graphics. But then you got to ask yourself, is it really worth $30? Now, granted, Black Friday's right around the corner. I'm sure this game's going to hit the $15 mark around Black Friday, and I think that would be the sweet spot for this game. Ghostbusters the video game brings back almost all the principal cast from the first two films in the saga. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and Ernie Hudson all reprise their roles as Peter Venkman, Raymond Stantz, Egon Spengler, and Winston Zeddemore. Annie Potts and William Atherton also, I think I'm saying that last name right, William Atherton, there we go, I think that's right, also return to voice Janine Melnitz and Walter Peck.
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
Conspicuous by their absence is Rick Moranis as Louis Tully and Sigourney Weaver as Dana Barrett. I understand why Moranis did not return. He's been out of the limelight in Hollywood for some time, but it did surprise me that Weaver did not come back, and they didn't even explain the reasoning behind Louis and Dana's absence. I mean, at least Dana gets mentioned once during the game when they talk about her apartment. It just really shocked me that they didn't explain the absence of these two major characters in the game somewhat, especially Louis's character, Louis Tully, because at the end of Ghostbusters 2, he was playing a bigger role. You know, he was more involved with the Ghostbusters, and he actually, well, for all intents and purposes, was a Ghostbuster by the end of the second movie. And then I wish they would have at least talked about what happened between the relationship between Peter and Dana. To some extent, at least explain what happened there, but they didn't. In addition to this amazing returning cast, a new Ghostbuster is introduced in the Silent Rookie, or New Guy, as he is referred to throughout the game. I honestly would have preferred a fully fleshed out character, voice and all, or at least some kind of character customization. I'm sure there are female Ghostbuster fans who would have loved to create themselves as Ghostbusters as well. You know, I really questioned the design choice when it came to introducing the rookie for this game. I think the game would have benefited from a full, like I said, a fully fleshed out character, voiceover, everything. Or if you weren't going to do that because they want your voice to be the voice of the rookie guy, but then give females an opportunity to be that character as well. Because are you telling me you don't think there are female Ghostbuster fans? Let us do a character creation, create a whole character to be in the Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters, the video game, is by all intents and purposes the third movie in the franchise. Dan Aykroyd himself has called it so in the past. That's not counting the reboot or the upcoming 2020 Ghostbusters movie. And with that comes a story worthy of a big budget production. Ivo Shandor, if you recall, he's the guy who designed Dana Barrett's building, her apartment building from the first Ghostbusters movie. He is back and wants to bring back Gozer and the Destructor once again. It's up to the rookie and the rest of the Ghostbusters to stop him. I'm kind of curious that with the upcoming Ghostbusters 2020 movie, I think it's got a name now, I'm not sure. I'm kind of curious if the events from Ghostbusters, the video game, are going to be considered canon for purposes of the movie. Dan Aykroyd has said that this was Ghostbusters 3. He did call this out as being the third installment. So does this carry over to the events in Ghostbusters 2020? That's a good question, I think. As the rookie, you are basically the guinea pig for all of Egon's new additions to the Proton Pack. I thought the developers, Terminal Reality, did an amazing job in gamifying the Proton Packs. I especially like the cooldown mechanic that replaces reloading. Basically, you can't use a continuous stream as the pack would overheat and then go into a cooldown mode itself. Kind of like you're running out of bullets in a gun. I felt like a kid playing with my action figures as I took out ghosts with ease, using the proton packs and then capturing them with the ghost trap. The game is essentially a third-person shooter. You just replace guns with the proton packs. The slime gun from Ghostbusters 2 makes an appearance. It comes back, but as an add-on to the original proton packs. There are two other modes for the proton packs in addition to the traditional and the slime gun. But for me, honestly, the traditional proton pack and the slime gun attachment got the most use playing the game. I really didn't use the other two very much. Yeah, the developers did an amazing job in taking those proton packs and making them game worthy, to say anything, right? They really made them work well in the game world. You know, like when like I said, it's a third person shooter essentially, and when you're shooting a gun, you got to reload every once in a while. In Ghostbusters, the video game, you have to cool down the proton pack. I think that's really, really cool, and it really made it work within the confines of the game and the world itself. It was brilliant, I thought. The ghosts themselves were very varied and looked really good. I was never bored facing the ghosts, as they provided a really good challenge, especially on the harder difficulty levels. It was especially rewarding to get those ghosts scanned in and to find out the history surrounding them. Yeah, just like in the movies, the ghosts looked really, really different. The developers did a great job in designing all the different ghosts and ghouls and stuff that you face throughout the game. And they looked really, really cool. I thought they were very interesting and fun to battle against. There were a couple of graphical and gameplay hiccups that I noticed. For some reason, unless you were directly facing the characters, you couldn't hear what they were saying. I had a struggle to get my character positioned correctly, just so I can hear what some of my fellow Ghostbusters were saying. I also noticed some pop-up here and there throughout the game, but it was definitely nothing game-breaking. Yeah, the voice thing was kind of annoying to me. I kind of get where it was coming from design-wise. Like, in real life, if you're not really like facing someone, you're not going to hear what they say, and if you walk away from them, it's going to get lower and lower. But literally, if a Ghostbuster was behind me, I could barely make out what they were saying. I had to turn subtitles on just so I wouldn't miss any of the cool banter that was going on between the Ghostbusters. Now, one thing I'm going to say here about the banter itself was it really did feel like Bill Murray kind of phoned in his performance. Like, he really didn't care about being there. There were a couple of instances where I really felt like Peter Venkman was back, but most of the time Bill Murray really just, it didn't sound like he really gave his all to the performance. All the other actors were amazing, and what I really liked was they fleshed out more of the Winston Zeddemore character throughout the game. I really thought Winston always got the shaft throughout the movie so far, but in the Ghostbusters video game, they really fleshed his character out a lot, and I like that. I feel there was a huge missed opportunity in this game. I know the developers did not want to make an open world game with this. It is decidedly linear, but I think it would have been really cool to be able to take calls that came into the firehouse for homes and establishments that were haunted, or to at the very least drive Ecto-1 around the city busting ghosts. There were so many missed experiences that could have fleshed out this game and made it a bit longer than its very, I would say, small 8 to 10 hours of gameplay. There was a lot of things that Ghostbusters, the video game, could have done to flesh it out a little bit more. Like, Janine could have been taking phone calls from different places that were haunted, and you could have taken it up. You know, maybe some of the other Ghostbusters were out and you had to take, you know, it was just you as the rookie and Winston, or you and Peter, or you and Ray, or maybe 3 you would go because the other 2 were doing stuff. Just stuff like that could have fleshed the game out a little bit more, and I think would have made the gameplay itself more interesting and varied. Not that it was bad, and I don't think 8 to 10 hours is terrible for a game, but I think you could have got a lot more of an experience out of it, like really experience what it was like to be a Ghostbuster, and they kind of glanced over that. Without giving away any spoilers, the ending felt that it was left open for a sequel that unfortunately never panned out. I thought that it would have been a great opportunity to introduce a version of the extreme Ghostbusters into the main continuity. Yeah, the game definitely leaves it open for a sequel. I really wish the game would have, the developers would have pursued a sequel and really introduced more characters to it. I think, maybe even, I think that's where they went wrong with the Ghostbusters reboot with the all-female cast, was that it didn't connect to the original in any way, shape, or form. I think fans might have been more forgiving of that movie if it connected to the originals, and I think a new game could have done something along those lines, where now you have new Ghostbusters, but they are connected to the original. It's a franchise or something along those lines. Final thoughts. Ghostbusters, the video game, is every fan's dream. You finally get a third part in the Ghostbusters franchise, and you get to take part in it. You get to travel to all sorts of insane locations and battle some truly terrifying ghosts. While the game may be limited in scope and have a few minor issues, it more than makes up for in cinematic fun. If you've never had an opportunity to play Ghostbusters video game before, now is the perfect time to join Peter, Ray, Winston, and Egon on an epic adventure. Alright, fellow geeks, that is it for today's video. Let me know in the comment section below if you've ever played Ghostbusters the video game and what you thought of it. If you enjoyed today's video, please leave a thumbs up. Those always help. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit that little bell up there so you know when I upload new videos. And share if you enjoy my content. That's the best way to help GamerDad79 grow. If you want more GamerDad79 content, be sure to check out these videos coming up on your screen right now. I will also be sure to leave the links to the GamerDad Facebook and Twitter accounts in the description box below. As always, fellow geeks, I am GamerDad79. Keep on geeking on.